All right, we'll carry that forward, do it on the lights.
Next item 2, discuss the Kayla Day annual event of the Steve Young Parks and Recreation.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commission.
Good evening.
Good evening. This here coming for you on behalf of the Kayla Day Planning Committee. Every year, it's an annual event, our Kayla Day. It's held at Central Square Complex, Gymnasium D. This is fun and active for our special needs kids, some kids moderate to severe disabilities. And we just recommend that we host that event once again at no charge, at no cost to the Kayla Day Planning Committee. It's a great event, it goes hand in hand, but we're trying to do it out in Miracle Field.
Commissioner Brown.
Great with that? Consent.
Consent.
Mr. Taylor?
Consent.
Mr. Moore? Commissioner Pierce?
I'm fine with it for consent, just wondering why we don't have it on the list of regular items that's approved every year at one time, since it is an annual event now.
That's a great question, Ms. Pearson, but I can assure you, moving forward, it will be on that list. I will submit it to Mr. Charlie, our city manager, who I need to submit that to. You can be assured that it will be on there.
Okay, thank you.
We're good on the consent?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next.
Next item 3, discuss the purchase of the FY20 lighting supplies for the Davis Complex bid, Stanley Merritt.
Good evening, Mr. Commissioner.
Good evening.
Coming to you tonight to discuss the lighting supplies for Davis project that would go around the buildings per se, and also the street structure. And on this particular one, everyone was sent an email requesting a straw poll to approve early, so because of lead times and everything else. And we ended up with the mayor and the 4 commissioners agreeing to do so. So therefore, we're bringing it to y'all tonight for official ratification. We'll recommend that the mayor commission approve the low bids as discussed in our work session for Davis Complex lighting supplies for the awarded low bidders listed below. The grand total cost awarded items is $46,895.45.
Thank you. Mr. Moore? I agree. Consent? Commissioner Pierce?
I'm fine with it, it's a little bit.
Consent? Commissioner McNeil?
Yes, sir, consent.
Mr. Taylor? Consent. Mr. Durham?
Consent.
Mayor Pro Tem? Consent. Thank you. Thank you, staff.
Next item 4, discuss purchase of the new 2020 Freightliner street sweeper, Sourcewell contract number 122017-TYM, Stanley Merritt.
This again is a budgeted item, and it again is a 2020 Freightliner sweeper, and it comes from an NITP Sourcewell contract. You should just be NITP, excuse me, yeah, NJPA, I'm sorry, excuse me, which actually stands for National Joint Purchasing Alliance. And we bought several items off of this, and had very good results, very good prices. And this place actually originated in Minnesota, now it's went to multiple states, and people were requesting it, and they bid it out, and they get a way bigger volume of bidders to be able to bid than we're aware of. So it's like a state contract that government, county, city, state, whatever, can piggyback off just like a state contract. So we recommend that mayor and board of commissioners approve purchase of one new 2020 Freightliner street sweeper as discussed in that work session meeting and approve the NJPA Sourcewell contract number 122017 TYM from Stemco Incorporated of Waco, Texas for a grand total cost of $259,935.
Commissioner Moore?
We've discussed that, last night, and come to agreement, we've got to have two of them, and, for the purposes, this is gonna be it.
Consent. Commissioner Pierce?
So, I don't know, I thought that we had, there was something about the street sweeper, not, I say not too long ago, but it might have been a little time back. But was there something that we were discussing about it, a year or so back, Mr. Mike here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
We did have some repair, and I'll have to have Perry when that was on the, we've always had two, a primary and a secondary. We have sold off our secondary because it was getting to be where it was not worth putting parts in anymore. So we're down to just one street sweeper now, so this will become our secondary sweeper, and this new one will be our primary sweeper. So yes, we did have some parts put on the old sweeper, probably, I think, Terry, 6 months ago.
Approximately, how much did we pay for that, for those parts?
$13,000 is what Terry said.
And is that were the parts put on the secondary one that we had, not the one we sold off?
Not the one we sold off, but the one we're keeping.
Keeping.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, the one he's speaking of was already sold at the time we had to do the repairs on what is now our primary.
Yeah, we've been down to one sweeper for a while. So when it's down, we're down.
Year July.
So, and where, is this a budgeted item that we had planned for, or?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, it's a budget item.
That's out of the 540 fund, sanitation fund.
And what's the total budget, for this department concerning equipment such as this, Mr. Hudson?
Well, that's just one line item in the budget, it's just one line item, so that's total amount is what it is for the top of the sheet.
I'm saying for the entire department along this line, what's the total? About how much?
About $3 million, sanitation and stormwater and all that, and more.
And you say we've been down to just one
Yes,
sweeper
ma'am.
for how long?
Since July of last year, 2018.
Mr. Mayor, I'm not certain if I want to agree for this to go on the consent agenda at this time. I have some concerns.
Okay. Mr. Taylor? Only thing, I'm for it, but we need to do a better, what you might say, maintenance on it, put somebody that's qualified, because this is a lot of money. We just don't need to put in and everybody on the street because it'll crank up and ride along, you know, because with the part that we had to purchase for the older, you know, I think that was lack of someone not knowing how to operate it. But I'm for it, but we need to make sure the individual that is on this sweeper is certified, and make sure we put a TM on whenever we finish with it every day, you know, to make sure everything is up to par, so we can hold the individual that's got you responsible if anything happened to it.
Included in this bid is also a person coming down and training our people, so Public Works, I guess, will pick a person or whatever, or maybe a couple of people in case one's or whatever, and, do some training on how to operate equipment.
Have we had that in the past, training?
Yes,
Okay.
to my knowledge, yes. That's correct, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have in the past, like I said, I've been in the department since 18, so ever since I've been over Public Works, ESG has run that department. I think Kevin does have one individual that he's been putting on that sweeper. They've actually developed an actual route now, instead of just hitting here and there, they actually have a planned route. And I can let Kevin speak more to that if he wants to, but.
Yeah, the route and all the planned out, basically we cover the entire town that has curb and gutter, once a week with the 1 gallon sweeper, we hit the DOT streets every Thursday night, that's downtown included, wherever Stevie went, his downtown crew comes in and, blows out the corners and all for us while we're sweeping, try to get everything that, sweepers can't get into those tight parking spots, so they can help us out with that, but, basically everything gets swept once a week.
Okay. Main thing is, we don't need to be picking up nothing that we don't supposed to pick up.
Right,
But that's, we just kind of money here, everything.
Junk on the side of the road.
Main side, yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm good.
Good.
Opposed.
You opposed?
I'm good with it.
Okay, we'll take it forward.
I don't think he has any.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm sorry.
I didn't mean to overlook you, but I think these guys do a great job keeping costs, down, and this was a budgeted item. I commend y'all on this, and I know you'll take good care of it. Thank you for it.
Good job. We'll do it under the lights. Do it under the lights.
The next item, item 5, discuss authorizing resolution to accept the G.B.R contract for the airport airfield pavement evaluation. George Henderson.
Good evening. Just want to say this agenda item is one of the projects that is on the airport capital improvement plan for the FY 20 year, so it was already voted in the budget. But we need to put it on the agenda because it's at the point in the process where we have to get it authorized, a resolution signed by the mayor. So I'll just read the information on here tonight. The airfield pavement evaluation will consist of the coring and testing of the existing airfield pavement in order to determine the correct PCN value of the airport. Currently, the FAA is listing the weight-bearing capacity on the runway to a single wheel and 26.0, and based on the current section of the runway, this seems to be incorrect. So to confirm it, a preliminary test was done. They're gonna do a more in-depth evaluation of it. So staff recommend that you all authorize Mayor Paul to execute the authorized resolution for this. And the Michael Baker Company will be our engineering for the airfield pavement and associated geotechnical investigation. The project will include administrative services. Once the documents are executed, other documents will come in to get this process going. So you're also giving Mayor Paul and myself permission to sign whatever documents that we need to sign for this project. The funding for this project will primarily come from FAA, a reimbursement of $18,369.20. GDOT will provide a reimbursement to the city of $966.80, and our city's portion will be $966.80.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes, I had an opportunity to speak with Ms. Henderson about it, and I'm in favor of it.
Consent.
Yes, I'm saying.
Mr. Moore? Consent. Ms. Mania?
That's it.
Mr. Taylor? Consent. Mr. Durham? Consent. Mr. Mayor Pro Tem? Consent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, item 6, discuss the approval of the GMA small cell ordinance and ECG model electric pole attachment ordinance. Mike Hudson.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Good evening, Mayor, Commission. If you recall, on July the 11th meeting, we actually approved 2 agreements, one with Verizon Wireless, one with AT&T Singular, concerning small cell installation. Part of that agreement that we were able to do is we were able to be exempt from the Georgia Senate Bill 66 legislation that covers small cell installation. Another part of that now, we've been waiting on GMA to get the small cell ordinance completed. They did that and got it to us on September 27th. We now need to approve that ordinance. We will actually have the first reading tonight and the second reading on the 28th. At that time, y'all will be able to approve that ordinance. We also have a pole ordinance that has to speak just to small cell installation. How many of you guys know what small cell installation is? It's basically an antenna they put on a light pole to help boost cell service and data service in a community where they have, Jay's probably very familiar with this type of stuff. But yeah, we've already got one application for this. It's gonna be up on Peterson. I don't really see us having a lot of this in the city limits. I think the county's gonna be more effective in the city limits. But for another point that we had to agree to was this small cell ordinance to be exempt from that legislation at the state level. So basically tonight, Jerome will read both of those ordinances for the first reading, second reading next meeting, and you guys will be able to approve that.
Mr. Moore, we have to go forward, but Mr. Moore, any comments on those two? We will carry that forward. Commissioner Pierce,
I'm fine with it, thank you.
Commissioner McNeil,
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Mr. Taylor, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Okay.
Next item is item 7, this will be tab F in your workbook. This is discussed, and a recommendation to approval of the Verizon cell tower agreement. We've been working with Verizon over the last 7 or 8 months to locate a cell tower over around the compost site area on the east side of town, close to Middle Sears Road. The contract is for a 25-year contract on some scrap land over there, like I said, just south of the compost site. It's worth approximately $425,000 in revenue to the city with a 10% attachment each time somebody adds on another person to it. For each round, 10% is added around another $180,000 over the life of that. So we're estimating right around $750,000 to $700,000 revenue for the city. And it's on some old land that we have where we actually used to store some concrete, but all that's been ground up and cleaned up over there. So we're here tonight just asking for your approval to move forward with that contract.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
I'm good with it.
Consent.
Yes.
Mr. Johnson. Consent. Mr. Taylor. Consent. Mr. McNeil.
Yes, sir, consent.
Mr. Moore. Commissioner Pierce. Thank you.
Next item, item A, tab G, Mayor Pro Tem wants to discuss some accomplishments of the city of Douglas for the past 4 years.
Good evening. In some of our meetings and talking, particularly we got to talking at the last chat and shoot that we held, you know, a lot of times when we're up here in the middle of things, as we go from you know, our meetings and planning meetings and month to month, we kind of get in the middle of things and don't see maybe the big picture. Now, as we were talking, I started looking back and was listening to some of what the staff was saying and some of our mayor and commission and city manager. We've been able to accomplish quite a bit over the last 4 years. And I think it would be appropriate to recognize some of those things that this body's been able to support, some things that our community's been able to accomplish over these last nearly 4 years. And I kind of divided up, just want to hit the highlights here. You know, we've had the opportunity, we've seen in our community local industries such as PCC, Elixir, Premium Peanuts and Southwire have expanded their operations, which has brought in increased jobs, opportunities for our community. We, of course, have the opportunity right now to establish a tax allocation district, which will, for the first time in the history of our community, bring in basically a shopping center, a big shopping center that would, almost like an outdoor mall, that would develop, you know, retail opportunities here, shopping, restaurants, and just as importantly, bring in several jobs. I think, you know, over 90 full-time jobs and many other part-time jobs. As I look at our community, you know, we've established a city marshal's office that helps encourage compliance with city codes and ordinances. To go along with that, we've received support from our from solid waste industries establishing junk drop-offs for our citizens that don't cost anything more, and now we've got that up to twice monthly. As we've seen recently, the community's got involved and they're backing our efforts to improve our recreational facilities by committing to update and improve Wheeler Park. And it is our hope that if that proves to be a success, that we can bring that to all our community, all our parks here in the city, to enhance those opportunities for our families, for our children. Looking in the public safety area, many of you know we've allocated SPLOST funds to expand and improve our radio communication systems and computer links that'll work between our 911 system, our emergency responders, and link all that with our court system. We think that's very important. If you've ever been involved in public safety, you know how vitally important communication is between agencies, between officers, between departments. We had a saying, you know, you may know where you are, and God may know where you are, but if your dispatcher don't know where you are, you and God had better be on good terms. We've hired a new fire chief. We've done a good job getting this department going and increased morale. We've also hired a new police chief who's, as many of you have seen, is emphasizing community-oriented policing and working with our community members. We look forward to continued success in that area. In the area of our government, and particularly, you all know, and I keep hearing about it, we hear about it, and we've seen some progress. I see dirt moved, and you've been out to the stadium. We know we no longer have that weird S-curve to get up to the stadium. We now have a weird roundabout that we get to experience. I've had some comments on that, but we've used that allocated SPLOST money to improve the facilities here. You know, and the ones that I think of that will certainly, I hope, enhance our quality of life for the recreation facilities. The new fields we intend to put up by the stadium. Most importantly, probably, is the Miracle Field, which Mr. Roper spearheaded getting that done. That's going to meet the needs of our special needs youth and adults and their families. We also have the opportunity, we're going to enlarge the city pool to hopefully give us the opportunity to host some swim tournaments that perhaps now we're not eligible to host. You've heard about the buildings that we're building up there on the north end of town for our utilities to move up there, vehicle maintenance, storage warehouses. And we hope to get our city hall here updated to bring it to the 21st century. During our time here, the 311 customer service reporting system has been established to enhance our opportunities to help and serve our citizens. We've partnered with ESG. You know, they've been doing our water department, but they've taken over public works, which, as far as I can tell, has worked very well, both for the former employees that are now with that organization, as well as for our city. I've seen, you know, so far they've cleaned miles of storm drainage canals and improved those and continually working on it. And just as importantly, it's organized now. There's a scheduled maintenance routine. You can contact Public Works, and they can tell you where they're working at, what their goals are. And if you've got an issue there, they can put that into the schedule. And if they need to bump something else because of priorities, they can do that. I'm very well pleased with what I've seen there. And perhaps last but certainly not least, as I think about what has happened with our youth, our opportunities to reach out and partnership with the youth in our community, we've established the Mayor's Youth Council to help develop leadership there and help our youth have a greater voice in our community. We've worked to establish a teen corps to help youthful offenders, to hopefully help them, hold them accountable, but also to remember that, you know, people can make mistakes, but they can change and improve. And this will also enhance all the youth that participate, will enhance their understanding of the criminal justice system. I feel like the mayor, we've made a lot of progress. I speak as someone who's got 4 children in the Coffee County school system right now, and has had 2 that have graduated through there. And I'm sorry, but you know, just reflecting on, I've got a lot of gratitude for the men and women that have helped teach and mentor my children, not only in the school system but also in our recreation department. I was thinking back today, my kids have been in those programs for 12 years now, met a lot of good people, and met a lot of good dedicated people who care a lot for our youth, and I hope to see that continue. I hope we can enhance those opportunities for our kids. Because at the end of the day, I think if you ask each of the 7 people that are up here, that's what it's about at the end of the day. What are we doing to make things better for those that are coming behind us? And that's the legacy that I'm most proud of to look back on, is have we made things better for those that are coming behind us? And that's what my goals are, and I think that's what each of us here are after at the end of the day. And of course, in doing all this, as best that I can tell, we have not raised our property taxes or our utility rates. So my hats are off. My hat's off to my fellow commissioners and mayor, to our city manager, to our department heads, to our employees and staff members for the work that you do, for the volunteers that are on our committees out here that are out there getting involved, for all you citizens out there who step up and volunteer your time and your services. And all our other city governments and county governments that we partner with, it's a team effort. And that's what it's all about. That's what we're trying to get done here in Coffee County, work together to make things better. I mean, that's what we're after, day after day. And I appreciate the opportunity to be here, and I just wanted to, I felt at this time that was important to kind of reflect on some of those things. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Next on the agenda.
Next is item 9, discuss parliamentary procedures regarding Robert's Rules of Order. Commissioner Pearson.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. Basically, what I wanted to expound upon is what are the proper rules for carrying out a city government meeting. And the reason why I'm asking that question is because of the fact that at the last meeting, while I was asking questions during the work session, the mayor basically asked other commissioners if they were in agreement with that line of questioning. So I have a few questions, and I know, Mr. Davis, I think you printed up this parliamentary procedure that I have here, and I take it that you've given each and every one of the elected officials a copy, right? So basically, this pertains to, I would guess, a meeting in which voting is taking place. Is that right? Because it refers to voting requirements, passing a motion, offering a motion, getting the floor, but this is all in reference to when we are in a voting session, which is in regular meeting. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so then it would not really answer my questions and my concerns because we were not in the voting session, we were in the work session. So then that brings me to the question, what does Robert's Rules of Order say in regards to work session when there are questions or concerns that an elected official has?
You got three guiding principles. One is the charter, which the mayor is the presiding officer over any meeting, so that pretty much gives them whatever direction or power or authority to do whatever they see fit within that. You have the Carl Vinson Institute of Government, you got the GMA documents that kind of talk about work session, and then you generally follow any Robert's rules. And yeah, obviously nobody's, I'd be the first one, I haven't read 1,000 pages of Robert's rules of order. So there's some loose terms in there that most cities go by, and that generally kind of refers back though to the head, the presiding officer has most of the authority, most of his meetings. So that's kind of the guiding principle. The charter says the mayor has presiding powers.
Okay, so presiding powers, will you go more into detail? What does that entail to preside?
They open and close meetings. They can, I think even like in that packet there, and I know kind of obviously we refer back to them shutting down the meeting or whatever. The mayor has the ability, if a conversation is getting out of order or too long, they can actually shut that down. In a meeting, he or she can dismiss the meeting if it's getting too long or too out of whatever, too out of order or whatever.
So if it's if it's chaotic or what have you, or somebody is unruly or whatever, then that would be, I guess, you know, within the scope to determine if it's something that should be shut down. So then I wouldn't think that because the person presiding does not want to hear what another elected official has to say would be a reason to stop the meeting. That's not included in some of the reasons for stopping the meeting.
I do think by the presiding powers of the charter and by some of the documents in there, there's one section in there, the mayor does have the ability, if he or she thinks the conversation has gone too long or whatever, they can actually shut that down.
Right. But I said, if it's something that the presiding person does not want to hear, is not a reason to discontinue the meeting. That's what I'm stating. That's not included within the guidelines of the person presiding. Mr. Attorney, I see you want to say something.
Well, no, I just want to add to what's being said. I think the mayor has the power to adjourn the meeting at any time for any reason.
But does it state that specifically? Is that stated somewhere
I
specifically?
have not seen the document that you have in your hand. I've not even looked at that. I don't
Yeah.
even know what it is. But I know from my past experience and my research and reading the code and the charter,
Yeah.
the mayor has the power to adjourn the meeting at any time.
But I don't think that's worded anywhere, Mr. Attorney.
It's not worded that way.
It's, okay, well, I tell you what, for the next meeting, because I'm not going to prolong time, what you're referring to, I need you to basically have me that, where it states pretty much that the mayor has the authority to adjourn the meeting at any time, okay? Because I know that with all of us being elected officials, it's not fair to any one of us to be restrained from what we have to say. That's not fair.
I'm not
Just,
disagreeing with you.
I know you're not. Just like Commissioner Gowan just went on his spiel about what we have accomplished. There are gonna be times when this mayor and this commission, or whomever might sit here, might not like what's being said. But however, being that we are in a democracy, a democratic society, a person has a freedom of speech. Just like the people who get on the agenda to come up here, we might not like what they say, but they have a right to say it. Now, if they're standing up there cursing or whatever, yes, that will be a reason to stop that. But according to basic guidelines, getting the floor, when an individual member of the legislative body wishes to speak, to make a motion, the chair must first recognize the individual's right to speak. So when I was speaking last week, I believe the mayor had called upon different ones, and or he asked if somebody else had anything, and I said I did. And that's when I began to speak. So because he did not like what I had to say, was no reason to adjourn the meeting, and ask the other members if he could get a motion to agree to adjourn the meeting. Then you got 4 people to do that. But however, when you printed out your agenda, because where they aired at, the agenda was already printed, and we already had it on there for commission comments. So especially for the regular meeting, when they went out on the break after they adjourned, and then we came back inside, and he said he was gonna forego mayor and commissioner's comments. The agenda was already printed. We did not vote when we started that meeting to amend the agenda. We voted to go by the agenda. So that made this mayor and commission who voted to forego commissioner's comments, that made them out of order, because the agenda was already approved. And once you approve that agenda, that's what you're supposed to follow. Am I correct?
You're supposed to follow the agenda, yes, ma'am, but I will get the law and I'll copy everybody with what I find.
Thank you.
You good?
I'm fine with that part.
I'd like to make a couple, do you have anything else on parliamentary procedure?
For now, until he can get me some more information.
Okay, so basically, one of the things I want the citizens to recognize As the mayor of the city of Douglas, throughout my leadership career, ever since I was about 19 years old, I've always been fascinated with individuals that have a lot of authority. I have been one of those individuals when I'm in a leadership role. I really don't like to do that because I feel as though you can get more out of an individual by being a true leader. So when we start talking about Robert's Rules of Order, Robert's Rules of Order can be very daunting. It can be, let's say, sometimes wrong, because if we went by Robert's Rules of Order, we could suspend Commissioner McNeil, and she can't say anything. And that's perfectly fine, period. So when we look at that, we have to also remember that Robert's Rules of Order is not the guiding principle of the city of Douglas. The guiding principle is the charter. The charter says we generally follow Robert's Rules of Order. But in our meetings, we have, one of my responsibilities as the presiding officer is to maintain a certain level of professionalism and decorum. So what we do is we generally follow Robert's Rules of Order. We don't, hey, point of order or motion to separate or motion to do a lot of things. We don't do those. As the city manager has said, Robert's Rules of Order is very, very, very thick, and it changes every year. But one of the things I do want to read to, this is on page 13. If you look, when I read yellow means it's important, blue means it's very important, and when I put them together, that makes it green, that means I need to know it, okay?
13 from where?
Page 13.
From the parliamentary procedure?
Mm-hmm. It says as follows: in the interest of orderly and efficient meetings, the council may choose to implement some discretionary rules of decorum into their procedural guide. We don't have one. When implementing such rules, it is important to respect the First Amendment rights of citizens to free speech and to petition the government for redress of grievances. However, the court have repeatedly recognized that these rights are not absolute and do not provide individuals with a license to disrupt government operations. Notably, the right to petition does not include the right to participate in all open government meetings, and the right to free speech is government's justification for the restriction if it's insufficient. So basically, for the citizens of Douglas, we have three types of meetings in the city of Douglas. We have a work session, and we as a council allow the citizens to speak for 3 minutes. Because at that point, we are listening to the concerns of the citizens. The next type of meeting we have is our regular meeting that the charter says we must hold on the second and fourth Monday. We have to do that, correct?
Yes.
That meeting there, technically, there's only 7 voices that are supposed to be heard during that meeting. That is my voice and these 6. That's the only people, because it is a meeting of the mayor and the commission. So even when we let or allow a department head to go up there for transparency, that's because we generally follow Robert's Rules of Order, because we do want to be transparent. Then I do believe on the regular meeting tonight, we do have a public hearing, correct? So that is the 3rd meeting that we hold in the city of Douglas. We hold a public hearing. At that point, Jerome is going to go over there and read a ordinance that we are considering. At that point, he will step away from the podium and he will say, is there any citizen that is here that want to discuss this? That means only that item. That's it. That ordinance, that public hearing is governed by that ordinance. So at that point, when he says the public hearing is over, that means that the citizens are not entitled or have the right to speak anymore.
Correct.
So at that point, we'll entertain a motion and we'll do that. Remember this right here. Robert's Rules of Order, like I said, if you have something that's called a parliamentarian, that is somebody that studies Robert's Rules of Order. They can prolong a meeting forever. So that's why I would think that the individuals that crafted our charter was to expedite the situation. When we look at Robert's Rules of Order and we say we generally follow, there's a lot of things that we do wrong up here. That thing that we just approved that's already in the budget, we approved that when we signed that budget. It doesn't have to come back. It's already been approved. You would have to make a motion to sever that, bring that one item out, and then we vote on that again. So every time we would be severing that budget that we've already approved. So when we do Robert's Rules of Order, I look at the Mayor Pro Tem, I try to give everybody the opportunity to speak.
But
So
you did
my
not allow
thing
me.
is this right here.
You didn't allow me
Because
to
one of
speak.
the things is, doing Robert's Rules of Order, you put a lot of authority in this chair. And that's not the way that I govern. That's not the way that I manage. I don't want to say, Commissioner Pearson, you have 3 minutes to speak.
Right.
At the conclusion of that 3 minutes, that's it.
Right, and you shouldn't have to say that, because
That's right.
as elected officials, we
Mm.
should all have, because what you were just speaking
But-
of
but I'm saying
is
this
for
right here.
citizens, Mr.
But-
Mayor.
but
It's for
you-
citizens, not
you are
elected
giving
officials.
me authority. That authority is invested in
Are
this
you gonna
seat.
abuse the authority?
Oh, Lord, no. That's why I
By
let you talk
adjourning the
sometimes.
meeting, no, you don't,
Okay.
you don't let me talk sometimes, I have the
Let-
right to talk.
Let's make sure we have this
That's what you
crystal
don't
clear.
understand, Mr.
The mayor did not adjourn that last meeting. The mayor made a motion, and it was second. I called for the vote. And 4 elected officials
Prior.
said yes.
Prior to that, you
Said
said
yes.
this is not the
So-
line of questioning that
so-
this commission wants to hear. That's
Right.
what you stated. And
But
when you
that's
said
what I
that,
stated.
when you
I'm
said
fine.
that, Mr. Mayor,
It was 4.
that's when the people
So
that
now-
you have,
Mr. City Manager, we're gonna move forward. Now, remember Robert's Rules of Order now.
Mr.
Move
Mayor,
forward.
Mr. Mayor,
You
I
are,
just
you're
need to-
interrupting,
I need to-
you're interrupting
I need to
a
point
meeting.
out,
What do you need to point out?
that you said, it is important to respect the First Amendment rights of citizens to free speech and to petition the government for redress of grievances. What you fail to realize is, sitting up here as I am, I do not fall in the category, Mr. Mayor, of citizens.
And I do not
Sitting-
fall in the
sitting here.
category, I do not fall in the category of a commissioner. I fall in the category as the mayor of the city of Douglas.
And you
The
have
charter-
no more rights than we do.
Oh,
You think
I
that you
am the
are
pre-
our boss.
I am the
and you are
presiding
not.
officer. What does the charter say? The
You
charter
are
says
not
I'm
the boss,
presiding-
Mr. Mayor. Preside.
Let's move.
Preside to give each person an opportunity to speak.
Mr. City
That's
Manager,
what you're supposed to
next on
do.
the agenda, because we have about
But
12
when
minutes.
you refused to allow me to speak last week or 2 weeks ago, you
Next.
violated
Please
my
go.
rights as an elected official.
Let's go.
Next item is item 10, discuss the employee credit leverage ad hoc meeting. This was requested by Commissioner Pearson.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Considering that, that case is, within litigation, I believe, is that correct? So I would not ask any additional questions about it. I know that you did give out a packet and it was saying that some of the, people from the committee stated that they had not talked to me. So, I'm gonna just let that stand with that, cause I know if I spoke to someone or not. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. So we won't go any further with that.
Thank you
about-
very much.
about that.
Next item, item 11, general comments. We have about 4. The first one will be Mrs. Mamie Simpson, 409 Park, here to talk about some FEMA funds and damaged houses.
Is Mr. Simpson here? Is he in the hallway? Did you check out there, Chief?
They right there.
They're right there, okay. Good evening, how you doing?
Good. My name is Mamie Simpson. I live at 409 Park Avenue. And years ago, we was at a meeting, and one of the commissioners said that they had money saved for a rainy day. Okay, I wanna know what is considered as a rainy day, because the two storms came through. Tree fell on top of my house. I still have a hole on the inside. So I wanna know what I can do to get the rainy day money.
Basically, I would tell this, rainy day is applicable to the city of Douglas, that GMA suggests that we have X number of dollars or 3 months reserved to operate the city. So for instance, if our server goes down or it gets struck by lightning, and the city has those funds to replace it immediately. So if the city gets hit by a tornado, not a tornado, but a hurricane, and we lose a lot of city functions, the city has these funds set aside so that the city continues to operate until federal or state funding gets here. That's specifically for the city. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so you don't have anything for the citizen of Coffee County?
As far as repairing your home, I'm not aware.
I mean, if they telling me my house is not sufficient, okay, I'm on a fixed income, I'm retired, so I know what I get every month. So if I need all this stuff did to my house, you don't have anything that could help me out to make my house energy sufficient?
I don't know.
I mean, we do have a program where it's a dollar for dollar match, up to $5,000, that we've had for years. But yeah, you need doors, windows, insulation. There is a dollar for dollar match up to $5,000. So you can get $10,000, but you get $10,000 worth of work done for $5,000. But it's a dollar for dollar match.
And what program is that entitled under?
It's the,
Weatherization.
weatherization program.
Weatherization.
Yes, ma'am. We
Okay,
voted that
so-
in probably 4 or 5 years ago.
So what about the the CHIP program? Where are we
Here.
with the?
George, do you want to speak to the CHIP program?
With the CHIP program, we're, the funds that we currently have, we were allotted, a little over $306,000 for that program. And the symptoms did come by over in February this year. We added them to the list. We have a waiting list for that program, and with the funds that we received, we're only able to support about 6 residents. And when I took over community development, we inherited a long waiting list with that program. So
About how
there's
many
about
people we got?
46 people ahead of them on the list. And there's no guarantee because you're on the list that, you know, you will be approved for funding. We just, out of courtesy, create a list. If someone is not approved or meet the criteria, when their names come up, we move to the next.
And so are those the only 2 programs, weatherization and CHIP?
Yes, and that weatherization program, if I'm not mistaken, is for senior citizens 65 and older. So I want to make sure we're clear on that.
Yeah, so they will fall under it.
Okay.
So I think there was a grant being given out today in LaGrange. Was that through DCA? Are you familiar with any grants being given out currently, right now?
The one that the city has been awarded?
Well, I was out of town this weekend, and the commissioner from Cary, Georgia, went up to LaGrange today to receive CHIP monies. So are we getting something soon, or what?
We can't apply for CHIP until we expend what we have. It's a process. The regional commission is facilitating that grant for us. And all I have learned since being over here, all I can say is a slow process. And that's what I explain to everyone who come in and go on that waiting list.
Okay, I need an updated list. I don't think I've gotten one since, Dale left, the
Grant funding
CHIP.
now?
Uh-huh.
I have one, I can get you.
Okay, all right, cause I don't know, he told me he was going up to get CHIP money, so maybe we can look into that some more. But I know it's always been a long list ever since I've been here, so, and I've been here a while. So we need to see what's going on with that list.
Mr. Simpson, is either one of you over 65?
I'm 62, my husband 82.
Okay, then we should be fine. They could apply for that. They are dollar for dollar. Okay.
And I would like to say this, I've been on that list, I know, for 10 years
Wow.
or longer. So why is you on a list for 10 years or longer? Something is not right. How can one person be on a list for 10 years?
As I said, the funding that we receive, like the 306,000, we can only do like 6 homes out of that. Because we try to invest around $50,000 back into each home or up to that amount. And that is just to bring it up to code. It's not to give you a new home, it's not construction of a home, it's rehabilitation only. But you know, when you came by the office, we looked, your name was not on the list, although you thought you were there. So that is why you were just added in February.
Okay, thank you. So do they go back and look and update to make sure that people that's been on there 5 years or longer, do they go back and make sure that it's updated so they can add new people to the list?
George?
We do, it's a detailed list. We document down to what date and time the individuals came in the office or called us and when they were added to the list. As I said, it was a list that I inherited from the previous director. It was a very accurate, a very organized list, and we continued the pattern of what was already in place. Christian Michael, who is the grants administrator, she and I maintained that list, and we have since, because it was a paper list, we have put it in a computer. So it's not a paper list floating around, it's now a computerized list. So it takes a long time. I know it's hard when you need immediate care on your home, but it's not much we can do when with the funding we receive, we're only able to do around 6 homes a year.
Okay.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. Next.
The next one, is Mr. Mitchell Simpson of the same address, here to discuss his utility bill.
Good afternoon, my name is Mr. Simpson. I'm in the same area for and I'm here tonight complaining on the high light bill again. My light bill is so high I can't afford to pay it. And I was asking the committee to allow me to pay. I was willing to pay $300, and then knock out the rest of it. And I'd also like to ask this committee if they could do some kind of independent order to lower the high utility rate. We people in this town, we suffer from this high utility rate. I moved people out of different places because they couldn't afford to pay the utility, they had to move in with neighbors and all that kind of stuff. But I'm asking this committee if they can do some kind of order, find some kind of common ground to lower these high utility rates. And tonight I'm asking y'all to allow me to pay $300 on my large light bill. I don't see no reason why it should be that high. I can't understand it, but I hope y'all be able to fix the problem. Allow me to pay $300.
I mean, he can get with Ms. Bonetta here and set up a payment plan or something.
He's come to talk to me.
Right.
And I don't think what he's asking for, I think his bill, what he wants to do is just pay $300 and then the rest be waived. But, I mean, he usually pay about $4 every month. I think they average about $400 every month. I think, Mike has his. Yeah, it's about 390 to 350 to $390 something every month. And this month it went up to $452.
Now, let me ask you this right here. What services do the city provide for Mr. Simpson's household?
Everything except gas, electric.
Yes, every
everything, all the service, electric, water, gas.
So that bill represents gas, water, sewer, electric, and
When we
trash.
ran the 12-month average, that location was like $162 in electric for the 12 month,
So just the electric
Just
is
electric.
162.
Average, like I said, the total bill for a 12-month billing was $3,600 and some change. So it comes out to an average over a 12-month period of $300 a month for all services. But the electric portion of it's around 161.
So basically, so we'll let Mr. Simpson get with Ms. Whitehead and see if we can work out something, okay?
Well, Ms. Juanetta just stated he's already met with her.
Did y'all-
He did, and he met with me, and, I had my, staff to go out and do an energy audit on him, and they did come back and tell us the things that needed to be done, for his home. But, I mean, the things that need to be done, it would lower the cost of the bill tremendously.
But we can't afford it. We don't have money to go out and buy a new refrigerator, or either to put plastic under our house. We've been living in that house for 30 years. So we don't have money to go out and do new stuff for the house. We on a fixed income. So we've been paying our utility bill. It was just this month that it went $452.
So what would you all like for this mayor commission to do?
I would like for them to allow me to pay the $300 and for you guys to get together and try to do some kind of independent audit to know this high utility rate. Everybody's suffering, man. Where I live, everybody's suffering from the same thing. We need the utility rates lower so we can afford to pay it.
I think there's,
We can't find one month to the other, and I don't know, never know what my life is like.
All we need to know from one month to another what our utility bill's gonna be, so we won't have to not pay bills until we get the utility bill.
right, I do think that our next agenda item is a group of citizens that are forming a committee. That part, that may be something that's gonna be here in the near future. As for, are you able to do anything else for him as far as, put that other part on the payment plan or anything
He
like
said
that?
he didn't want a payment plan, he wanted it removed. But I mean, I'm willing, whatever, I told him whatever I needed to do to talk, to work things out for us, an extension or whatever he needed for us to do. But I hadn't talked to him since we've, done this energy audit.
Let me tell you why we don't want a payment plan. Okay, this month is $452. What is $452 next month? Okay, we're gonna have to pay that $452 and an extra $100 that we don't have. So that's why we don't want a payment plan. And when you on a fixed income, only 60% of your money supposed to go for bills. 60% of his money go for utility bills.
If they'd like to meet with me tomorrow, they're welcome to meet with me tomorrow. I can probably tell them about how much their bill is gonna be for next month. And then if they wanna come back, then I'm
We do
willing
a
to.
utility committee?
Right, and then if they wanna come back before you all, then I prefer we go through the process of meeting like we do for the utility, commission.
He said he was paying $300 a month, and that's what he wants to pay now. But he's got a $400-something bill, and you can't give it to him. If you do, you gotta give it to everybody.
Hello.
Well,
So,
yes, sir.
Mr. Simpson. Mr. Simpson, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, I heard it was some kind of mistake in the beginning with it, and why people were getting 9 and 10 days added on to the light bill. If someone made a mistake like that, and then they'll, it's on them, why make me pay for your mistake? If you made a mistake like that, you should be able to write it off, not only for me, for everyone, that everybody suffers, man.
You
You
have a
ain't got nobody to do y'all like that.
If you had a bad
You
7
can write it off if you
days
made a
after, you
mistake,
got a
you
short
can
one.
Or either they should've just did it in pieces, not 9 days all at one time. Why didn't they just break it down? If they had to add, 9 days to our account, why didn't they break it down into pieces?
Add a day.
Why add all 9 days back at one time?
One day per month. That's a good idea, and that was suggested at Roundtree as well. That was one of the suggestions.
So,
You discussed
I
that.
can
with-
answer that, why it wasn't done, why it wasn't working, I think we did discuss that as well. That was, my intention was to put, take it and place it so it wouldn't be a hardship on people, but unfortunately, I took ill. So I wasn't here to cover the system so that it can do that. That was on me, I can't help that, I was hospitalized, so I couldn't make sure that the system brought everything in like it was supposed to and divide it up, because there's a process you have to go through. So that was on me.
So is it possible at this point then to, go in and recalculate as if it was a payment plan, but do one month, 1 day per month?
I don't wanna do, the thing that we're doing is we're working with everyone, I don't wanna put it in a payment plan.
No, I wasn't suggesting a payment plan, I say similar to a payment plan.
That's what we're
Where
doing.
1 day could be added per month to.
I get what you're saying, yes. If they want to come in and pay that, it's not that we can add it in, like, we can't do it like that because the bill has been generated. But if they come in and they said, we calculate and say, okay, this is how much you're using per day, and you wanna that's what you wanna pay per, month until you pay it out, we're fine with that. We're just asking for people to come in and tell us what they can do. Yes, I apologize, that happened. I
Right.
couldn't help from being sick.
Mhm.
But whatever we have to do to help our customer, that's what we're trying to do, and that was what we were doing from the beginning. Is that anybody that come in and wants to talk to my staff or myself, and however they can, we wanna help.
Mr. Simpson?
I'm not able to pay that $455, but I was willing to pay the $3, without being my bank broke. I was willing to pay $3, but I'm not willing to pay the $455.
Mr. Simpson, could you do me a favor and talk to Ms. Whitnell to see if we can work out something? If that doesn't work, then we'll go to the utilities committee and go from there, okay?
Mayor.
Yes.
Mayor Paul, they was looking for a grant or loan. The USDA Rural Development 504 have loans of up to, it's a maximum of $7,500. And it's eligible for seniors in the age 62 and older. And the contact person of that is Dean Shields, and I'll get you all the numbers for that.
Okay? Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Mr. City Manager.
Next person is Ms. Priscilla Carter Davis, here to speak about some community block grants.
I'll wait my time. For Mr. Newton.
The next one is Mr. Michael Newton, 1402 East Adams, here to talk about several things concerning utilities.
We are running a little long on our work session, but I did want to make sure that we address the citizens' concerns. So if y'all will, please forgive me. Mr. Newton?
Yes, we met, like you said, the other night at Roundtree, myself and a couple of others, and we appreciate Commissioner Durham for allowing us to get together. This is what Mr. Simpson was just talking about, with his bill, the 9 days that was added. It was supposed to be broke up, I understand, to 2 days per thing, like you just said, this one other. I understand you said they should talk to you, but like I told someone that I spoke with, the city should have been transparent and let the people know what had happened, so that they can prepare for themselves, because you're asking them to come to you with a resolution. But when you, like the mayor just said, he's the authority. When the authority has the floor, they should come with a resolution for the people, so that the people can understand what would help them out in that situation. And because you wasn't here, then you have an assistant, because if not, then y'all need to put an assistant to her, so when she's out, that doesn't transfer back to the people. Some of the issues that we had is trying to fix the bill for that, because like you said, some people's bill has already been fixed, but you have persons like Mr. Simpson and some elderly that can't do that, and you have some people that don't know how to budget, don't know what the budget rate is to be on the rate of a budget. Mr. Moore, you said it's not fair, but it's not fair for Ward 3, which is the electrical ward, is made up of different wards, for that group of people to have theirs misread by 21 days, and then you add 9 days on 30 days, which is 39 days.
which adds the bill up, which also increases the taxes for them to have to pay also that money. So that's not fair, because if somebody pays you a 40-hour work week, took away 20 hours, then added 20 hours in your next check, your taxes are gonna be greater. So you're adding to an issue that's already there. Then the next thing is that we looked at on the resolution, because you said if you got an issue, make sure you have a resolution. We also looked at, for those 4 or 5 months, the people that do that, but then people were also being charged cutoff fees. They're charged a cutoff fee before the lights are even cut off. I think on the day that the cutoff day is, by 8:30, if you don't have your bill paid by 8:30, they charge you a cutoff fee. That's a service that the city saying that they provided, did not provide, because the people making it here pay it before it's cut off. So how can you charge me for something that I have not been done? You charge me an extra $25 or $30, and I think it's based on 10% of whatever your light bill is, that your reconnect fee is. So you're charging people for something that you haven't even done.
10% of the late fee is 10% of what your bill is.
Okay, but the cutoff rate too, you're charging them the cutoff rate.
Right.
And so one of the things that we came up is that, I know you said they have 28 to come up with a solution to the electrical problem, but it's not I think the electrical problem more so than a continual improvement issue. Like Mr. Gowan said, we've made improvements in the 4 years, but yet it's still some continual improvements that we can make. So our suggestion is to add at least 2 persons from each ward, along with the city commission, to be an oversight committee, and also some business persons in the business, because one business lady came in and said person that doesn't want to say you send your people out and they're advising certain things that they need to do to improve their bill. I think the lady at the screen printing shop said that they advised her to change her light fixtures. She's changed the light fixtures, put new LED lights, and then her bill went up $500. The things that you suggested she did, and it cost her money. So it went up another $500 after she put LED energy efficient equipment in her business. It still went up. So those are some things that the oversight committee looked at that can be done.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting idea to have a citizens committee.
Yes, because it's about all of us. It's not a white thing, black thing, it's a white thing. So if we're gonna be transparent across the board, then each one of the commissioners bring persons from their ward, 2 persons, and maybe have to cut down to 1, because we know a lot of people cause a lot of confusion. But 1 or 2 persons from each district come in and be an oversight committee along with some persons from the city, because you know who own businesses inside the city limits, not persons on the outside of the city. We don't need counter people dealing with city issues, dealing with the issues that's at hand, so we can come up with a resolution that works for everybody.
You're so right. Let me just interject here, Mayor. One moment. Again, with, in years past, when my mother had rental property, we determined that it was about it was the lack of education that most, I would say 8 out of 9 of those people had, as far as changing your conditioner filters. It was just different things that they, it was, you know, you're hitting the nail on the head here. I mean, it's budgeting, it's education, it's things that the city may not can do in the way of giving something to somebody, other than we need to have an electrician on this board, we need to have a plumber, we need to have people on this board, the toilets leaking, things like that, and they don't want to get with the person that owns the house about it, because they're already behind on the rent, you know what I'm saying? So they want to help.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because, real quick, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because when I roll around in the area that's affected mostly by the highlight bills, they're landlords. They're people that own rental properties that's not upkeeping their properties. Correct. So therefore, I appreciate that. That's good.
Yeah.
Because those issues that are at hand are those landlords that y'all are not holding accountable, but yet holding people accountable for dogs and cars in the yard. But the yards and stuff that's owned by people that's landlords. So therefore, there's something that needs to be done with the landlords of being slumlords and say they're not making sure that their properties are energy efficient for the people that rent them. Now, I know they can't do it overnight, but it should be at least a 1 to 2 year process that they got to get their stuff up to par, or either they lose their properties.
Yeah, and do a renters.
One of the things that I tried to mirror was, I think it's Sylvester, Georgia. Sylvester, Georgia has a program that if you own a rental property, you you have to pass an inspection before the city provides any service.
Exactly.
So,
But we were supposed to get that implemented. but
Yeah, that
something
died
happened.
on the table.
I don't know what happened with that.
That's the thing, those certain things that died on the table, this oversight committee can make sure that they don't die in the transition of politics and the politicians, that it can be resolved at that time. So that's the issue that's at hand. Because like I said, a lot of these people that are having a problem with that bill, there's issues from people from the landlords that are not dealing with those things, but yet action, and then you're also allowing them to move into rental properties without doing an inspection, because when it changed names, you're supposed to do an inspection before you move into the property. Because I worked in construction for a while, they're supposed to do a comprehensive look at and see what's going on before they allow this person to move in, because you have to bring a paper up to the city with your name on it stating you're renting from such and such, such and such. But at that time, they're supposed to go do a energy efficient test, make sure that the property is up to date. But some of these houses that I went and looked at today, some of them 1978 wiring system, you're looking at breakers that are bad, but yet they're still renting properties out. Still collecting money from the renters, and the rent is less than the light bill. Sorry, go ahead.
No, in the essence of time, I think you're making some great points. And my issue is this right here. I do like the idea of the oversight committee. So when do you want the individuals on the council to provide you with the name, and who else do you have?
Well,
No, I don't need the names. I'm just saying, do you want to cut it off at 10 or 12 or what?
Well, I'm saying let us meet together to decide this.
Okay.
Because this is not a Michael Newton issue, this is a city issue that will bring a resolution. Because it said that if you have an issue, to bring a resolution. So the resolution is on the floor. But yet also I want to make sure that we stay on point with the issues of the people with the 9 days added onto the electrical bill, because that was the main reason for the meeting.
Right.
That they do something for people like Mr. Simpson, who just came up and stated that his bill is normally $300-something, but now it's $452 because of those 9 days. Those 9 days shifted what he thought he would pay to something different. And so therefore, it should be a resolution, if not just those 9 days added somewhere or shifted across the board, or either the city write it off as an audit for just that ward, for those people in that Ward 3, or either find a way that you can cut or shift the budget that's already at hand, because I know the budget years from June to June. But it's something with inside that budget that you've already agreed to. Like you say, you don't have to come before us and say anything. You've already decided on what factors you're gonna do. But with inside that realm, it should be some push or shove money where a machine may cost $500,000, you find one for $450, that'll knock off that'll help subsidize the income of the light bills for those people.
Cool. Good deal.
Thank you.
Mr. Newton,
Thank you, Ms. Newton.
you did a good job. Real good job.
We had the last one, Mayor, is a Miss Chastity Fussell, it's 418 East Baker.
Oh, sorry.
Good evening to everyone in their respective places. I am here also to complain, I guess, about our utility bill, and also to offer a resolution. I hear people complaining about $462 however much dollar bill. My current bill is $541. My bill before that was $580. I have paid a bill for $1,000. Is no way lights should cost that much. Period. Anywhere. I also have a son in college. I'm just going to give you guys a little backstory. I have a son in college. We went down and the lady said, I'm not going to lie. His utilities can get a little high. They'll get about $150 if he uses everything. I pulled my light bill out and showed her. She said, you $200 from paying my mortgage. That is ridiculous. This is public housing we're talking about with this light bill. Not a business, not a store. I go to the laundromat thinking that's gonna save me money. And I'm a mother of 5. I load all our clothes up, take them to the laundromat, and I have a washer and dryer. But just to hopefully not raise that light bill, and guess what? My light bill still went up. It makes no sense. We stopped bathing. Hey everybody, you bathe 3 to 5 minute limit. Our light bill still went up. We bought the little LED pop lights. Our light bill still went up. I definitely understand that the city officials or however employees are paid off of what our bills are. That is how they're, they can decide how to pay them. thing is this, is there no money available in the general fund to help us? It's loaded with millions. Y'all can't start a program with 10,000, and everybody can donate or do fundraisers to put money in this fund to help the citizens. I'm not a senior citizen. I don't qualify for any help. Outside of that 7 days, are you in the dark? On top of that, again, I'm in public housing. If I don't pay my light bill within 10 days, if my lights are shut off, heaven forbid, knock on wood, if they're ever shut off, I get evicted. Now I'm homeless. And I still gotta find somewhere to stay with this $1,000, $600 light bill. It's just starting to be unbearable. I made a few notes, excuse me. It's stated in the city's financial statement. It is the question we have to ask. Is the city as a whole better off or worse as a result of the year's activities? My family is worse. We are not better off. There have been no rises in rates of electricity, so why is the bill going up? If we are paying for the employees, there are no employees at the wastewater plant. 0 from 37 employees. Should that have helped our bill? Because now we don't have to pay those checks, those employees. They're not there. You know, I don't really have an understanding. And I also want to state, the average daily consumption is the least amount it has ever been for the city in 4 years, I'm sorry. In 2014, it was 801 megawatts average used, you know, in someone's home or I guess by the city. Now it's down to 772. Why is our bill still high? This has been the least amount of usage in water since 2014. Why is our bill still high? Nobody has an answer for us. Nobody's giving us a break. They're giving us these little times to speak, but there's never a resolution. Mr. Michael said something about providing a resolution, and like I said, I'll state it again. Is there no way to use any money out of the general fund? Is there no way to use any money out of the MEAG trust? We can use it and pay it back because we definitely are putting the money into the city, so we can afford to pay it back. Anything to implement a program to help us. I also want to state that it's definitely under you guys' control because the general fund is the chief operating fund of the city. Our city in 2016, maybe 2015, was changed to where all of our financial situations are handled in-house. Nobody comes in and does that anymore. It's handled in-house. Where's the help? We vote y'all in. We wear the shirts and put the decals on our cars. Where's the help? I look pretty good in the suit. You know? I'll just say, you know, where's the help we really need it, guys? It's a financial burden. It's a financial hardship. And it's hitting this city like drugs. Nobody can pay their bill. You got the, the Salvation Army. You can only meet with her the first Tuesday of every month. If you miss that Tuesday, you ain't got no help. And by the time she's willing to help again, your lights is off.
Ms. Chastity?
Yes, sir.
Chastity, correct?
Yes, sir.
I do think this, the Citizens Committee may be able to help us out here. So, I would suggest that, they didn't say that the mayor gets to appoint anybody. I would like to appoint you.
Oh, thank you.
Okay? So, then let's see if we can turn this over to the Oversight Committee, and let's see if we can find the resolution.
Mr. Mayor, I just wanna address this. I know that it was mentioned on Facebook about the resolution, and I know that we're getting behind on time, but why this wasn't an item on the agenda about this resolution, you know, cause, I mean, it was said that it was gonna be an item on the on the agenda, but it's not on the agenda.
Right.
So are we looking for oversight to look over the problem, or we're gonna address the problem? I mean, because, the book is good all day, but still, there was an error.
Right.
When someone makes an error on their job, they either lose it or they get rolled up. I'm just saying, Cause I know some people that have been fired for errors. And I just feel like at the end of the day, we don't need to overlook the problem. The problem is there. We talk about we want our streets to be clean. The mamas and fathers have to go work double jobs, allowing the children to roam around the street, robbing, killing, and shooting. But the thing about it is, this has been looked over for years. And the thing about it is, everybody say, well, it's always been this way. It's never going to change. Oh, we could change that. But I felt that when it was mentioned on Facebook, I didn't have the ill will of an election, politics, or none of that. First of all, we all human, we all make mistakes. But honor your mistake. Honor your mistake, because it's just like you don't want nobody to do you wrong. So therefore, the citizens are providing for us. And since they're providing their taxes, they're paying utilities, why not be upfront with them? Not issue the problem and look over the problem, because that's what it was. And I just brought it to the forefront. Because my grandmama, I grew up all the time with my grandmother's house. They kept saying she need to get her house finished. It's not sufficient. She need to get weatherized. She need to get installation, windows. She got all that. Still got that and still had a highlight bill. All my life I grew up with my grandma going to work in that golden poultry, making not even about $9, $8. Then she had to struggle, because my granddad was on disability, struggle to pay the light bill. So my thing would be to this mayor commission. I didn't host the meeting just to host the meeting because of politics. First of all, it was said that Commissioner Pearson had some do. She didn't have nothing to do with it. And Reverend Michael Newton prophesied. Well, he came to me. We was at the bounce house, and he said that you need to have a meeting with the citizens 3 weeks ago. I mean, 3 weeks came, and I said, well, Michael, the error came out. I'm not looking over nobody. You know, I'm not saying that everybody's perfect. But still, at the same time of the day, we say that we're mayor and commission. Why put the citizens in hardship at the end of the day and don't do nothing about it?
That's right.
Why put them in a hardship? Because at the end of the day, everyone was not affected by it. You weren't affected by it, Commissioner Moore?
That's right.
Well, have you got a solution to it?
We had a meeting where I invited all the mayor and commission.
I said, have you got a...
I'm on this committee.
No, have you got a solution?
I'm on this committee that just read it to you.
Yes, sir. Hold up.
Yes, sir.
Hold up for a second.
So-
Ms. Cassidy. Chastity, I'm sorry. For the sake of time here, we're gonna conclude that portion.
But I wanna finish what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you finish,
Okay.
because you hadn't said
Yes,
anything
sir.
all night.
Yes, sir. I thank you. And I just want to be respectful of everyone, but still at the end of the day, it still put our citizens at a hardship. And when I post this on Facebook for people to list their utility bill, I was just saying I seen people say, well, my bill is this, my bill that. I said, no. I seen people put $900 on light bills, $800 light bills, and stuff like that. And I'm saying to myself, wow. And so they put them under there. And so I said to myself, why can't we just come together for the citizens to see about this problem? Then you came with a post on Facebook. Then you said that it was going to be a resolution. Then it was said, talking about suspension of the pay. Still at the same time of the day it was being paid, it's still not enough to help with that. So therefore, that's why I was thinking this would be an agenda item, because this has been overlooked for many years. And but the thing about it is, when the error came, how was they going to respond to it? Were they going to mail it to them in the mail, in their bill, or what it was? Only thing, the citizens really didn't know about it, and then it took the city so long to respond to it till after the meeting. After the meeting we had for the town hall meeting.
I didn't know where it was.
All right, here we go. Good? All hearts and minds clear? Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, Mr. Durham, Mr. Taylor, Mr. Neal, Mr. Moore, Commissioner Pierce? Good? All right, good evening. Here we go. Good evening. Welcome to the City of Douglas Mayor and Commission. This will serve as our regularly scheduled meeting for this October the 14th, 2019. The next item on the agenda is the invocation, and our Mayor Pro Temp, Mr. Mike Gowan, will do the introduction.
We have Pastor Britt Peavy here from Westport Church of God. We've invited him and he's accepted our invitation. Mr. Pastor Peavy, if you'd.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Gowan, Commissioners, Mayor. Always good to be with you. Thank you for what you're doing in your service. Back in the War of 1812, there was a young lawyer that went out to see about the release, negotiate the release of a beloved doctor in Baltimore. And when he went to the ship, what he didn't know was that night there was a planned British attack on the fort there, Fort McHenry. So he was caught on that ship for a first front line view of that battle. And as the night fell, he saw flying over that fort, Fort McHenry, he saw the stars and the stripes. And through the night, he wondered if it was still there. Of course, he wrote a poem about it that we all know, where he said, "Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?" And what a lot of people don't know is that's not the only stanza that he wrote in that famous poem. Francis Scott Key also wrote this last stanza that I like as well. "Thus be it ever when free men shall stand between their loved homes and the war's desolation. Blessed with victory and peace, may this heaven-rescued land praise the power that has made and preserved us a nation. And conquer we must when our cause it is just, and this be our motto, in God is our trust. And the star-spangled banner in glory shall wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave." And when I see that flag flying high up on a pole, it reminds me of another pole. When the children of Israel had sinned against God, and the Lord, they were bitten by fiery serpents, the Lord told them to make a brazen serpent and set it on a pole and look, and they would live. And Jesus, in that same conversation with Nicodemus, that he said that famous quotation, John 3:16, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish but have everlasting life." In that same conversation, he said, just like Moses lifted up that serpent on the wilderness, so the Son of Man must be lifted up. So we look at our flag and we honor the fact that we're one nation under God, and we look to the cross and we realize that God is our trust.
So apparently there's outrage in the country because some people are not standing for the Star-Spangled Banner, and for good reason, to bring to light an issue where African Americans are not being treated the same as white people in this country. That is a provable fact. They are killed by cops on a much larger scale per capita, even when they are unarmed. So it's not like, oh yeah, they're more dangerous. No, even when they're unarmed, killed at a much greater percentage. Arrested at a greater percentage, even if they're doing the same crime and at the same rate as white Americans. There's a problem. Colin Kaepernick started pointing it out. So now it is taking on a life of its own. There's high school students, black and white, and coaches all kneeling. There's other people in the NFL doing it. And then last night on Monday Night Football, the Eagles, 3 players did it. Let's show you who they are. It's Stephen Means, Malcolm Jenkins, and Ron Brooks. I love when they raise their fist in the air. I think that is a powerful, powerful pose, and I think it is for a great cause. Now, I want to give you Malcolm Jenkins' reason for doing it. He says, "For me, It has nothing to do with this country or the flag or the anthem in itself. Really, it's just to continue to push forward the conversation about social injustice, and that's a range of things from police brutality to wages and job opportunities, education. That is true, but he's actually underplaying it because, in fact, it should have to do with the Star-Spangled Banner. Now, some of you might have seen this, some of you might not have seen it. Now, normally, we don't read or sing the entire Star-Spangled Banner before these games. We leave out the third verse. Why do we leave it out? Because it says this: "No refuge could save the hireling and slave from the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave. And the Star-Spangled Banner in triumph doth wave over the land of the free and the home of the brave." So when Francis Scott Key wrote Land of the Free, he didn't mean black people. He meant white people, and part of their freedom was to make sure that the slaves had terror in their flight and glooms in their grave. Now, if you're wondering, was Francis Scott Key a slave owner? Why, yes, he was. Now, let's give you context, because this was about the War of 1812, and so it wasn't that Francis Scott Key just wrote the whole thing about, hey, isn't this a lovely country, plus I hate black people, and that's why I keep them as slaves. It was in the context of the War of 1812, although he does think that. In fact, here, I'll give it to you now. What does Francis Scott Key think of black people? Here's what he wrote. "They are, quote, a distinct and inferior race of people, which all experience proves to be the greatest evil that afflicts a community." Let's be clear there. He's not saying slavery is the greatest evil. He's saying black people are the greatest evil. That's why I have to keep them as my own personal property. And I'm supposed to stand for that. And black people in this country are supposed to stand for that banner. Okay, so the context is the War of 1812. Now, I'm taught in my high school, back when I'm a kid, the goddamn British came in, they burned the White House, they're trying to retake the country. Come to find out, it's a little bit more complicated than that.
So this guy is a football player, I'm told. I'm not a sports guy. And he's been making a lot of headlines by refusing to stand during the national anthem. In interviews, he said the protest is to take a stand against police brutality. Is he right? Is he wrong? We're not getting into that. But a few days into that controversy, an article started getting passed around on Facebook that sparked a separate controversy over whether the Star-Spangled Banner is racist. The article, written by Josh Schwartz for TheIntercept.com, points specifically to this line: "No refuge could save the hireling and slave from the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave." Now, if you're saying to yourself, I've heard the national anthem before and I don't remember there being a bit about slaves, that's because what we think of as the national anthem is actually only the first verse of the national anthem. The national anthem is actually 4 verses long, based on a poem written by Francis Scott Key called The Star-Spangled Banner. The rest of the poem is largely about the American flag flying over a fort after a battle, and using that image as a symbol for the resilience of the United States of America. So why does the poem stop to take a hard left turn and do a quick touchdown dance around the idea of running down and murdering slaves? For some context, we'll have to explain a little bit about what was happening at the time. The poem, The Star-Spangled Banner, was written during the War of 1812, or as most history classes build it, the Revolutionary War Part 2. This time, the reasons are murkier. The U.S. said it was started because Britain kept harassing their ships and trying to impose trade restrictions. Britain says it was started because the U.S. wanted to make a land grab for their colonies in what is now Canada. Either way, in July of 1812, the U.S. declared war and Britain was not prepared for this. While they had some troops to defend their colonies in North America, the bulk of their force was spread halfway across the world, engaged in a battle with this guy. Since that wasn't going away for a few years, Britain bolstered their North American force by basically teaming up with anyone who had a beef against the U.S. That includes militias from their northern colonies, Native Americans, or even using impressment, which is basically capturing Americans and forcing them to fight for the crown. And British forces quickly realized another group of Americans that might have a pretty good reason to want to defect: slaves. So as British ships raided U.S. towns, they basically put out the word that any slave that made it into British hands would be free men. And they kept their word. Thousands of slaves escaped and were resettled in British territories, and a few hundred even agreed to join the fight against the U.S. By 1814, things were going relatively well for Britain. British forces managed to get all the way to Washington and burn the White House to the ground. But when they made their big push for Baltimore, there was a hiccup. The British fleet attempted to barrage Fort McHenry, and the fort held. That bought the people of Baltimore enough time to set up defenses for the the British attack. Francis Scott Key bore witness to the battle. He was being held on a British ship negotiating for the release of American prisoners. Once he was released, he wrote the Star-Spangled Banner based on what he'd seen during the battle. The bit about the hirelings and slaves was sort of talking smack about how the people who teamed up with the enemy got beat down. So there's almost certainly a racist component. Throwing in a jab about how you beat someone down for having the audacity to not want to be owned by you certainly isn't great. Unfortunately, if you put even a shallow amount of research into early American history, you're going to find a lot of people who are racist, because back then most people were crazy racist. Francis Scott Key, the author of the poem, was also a prosecutor who tried to get a guy hanged for having in his possession a pamphlet that said maybe enslaving human beings isn't the best thing in the world. I'm sure I'm not the first person to tell you this, but the authors of the Constitution were mostly slave owners. I mean, the guy who wrote the Pledge of Allegiance also wrote a little piece about the dangers of mixing with, quote, the inferior races. These guys were alive in the slave-owning United States. That's the culture you're pulling from. So there's your answer. Is the national anthem racist? The poem it was based on does have a racist component to it, because everything back then did. Kind of a down, no 10 done. Now I'm Jonathan Soboleski for AL.com.
Let's pray. Lord, I thank you for America. Lord, I thank you for tonight being able to witness firsthand democracy on display. Lord, I thank you that we have the freedom to speak with our officials. We have a government that is of the people and by the people and for the people. And our founders understood that that was a unique proposition in the world. And they also understood that those rights for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness did not come from man, did not derive from government, but they were unalienable rights that we received from you. And so we thank you, God, for these our leaders who are your ministers over this very thing. Pray that you give them wisdom and knowledge tonight. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Creed.
Next on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. It's a school night. I think our ROTC individual departments. So if you please stand. And I will lead us in prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Next on the agenda is the approval of the order of the agenda. Second. It's been motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is the recognition and swearing in of our new police officers. Sir? Probably gonna clear out after this. It's all good. Is that thing on? Okay, cool. What is that thing on?
What's that thing on?
Big things.
All right, Mayor and Commission, we have 3 new officers here with us tonight. Officer Rogers, Officer Wigley, and Officer Dunn. They have spent 11 weeks at the police academy training, getting beat on, getting tased, getting sprayed with pepper spray. I have some very interesting videos if some of you would like to see them later. One of the officers got the Holy Ghost when he got sprayed. Officer Wigley. It's very important when they take this oath. This oath is very, you have to listen to this oath. You have to live by this oath, because if you violate this oath, we will arrest you. There is a charge, it's a felony charge in the state of Georgia for violating your oath of office. So when you raise your right hand and you take this oath, you've got to live by it. You've got to remember this oath every day when you're out there. You're treating our citizens with respect. I want you to treat people like you want your family to be treated. With that, there's a few of them that have their wives here. Okay. It's very important this is a family event because they have put up with this.
Yes.
For, yes. About 3 or 4 months they have been without their family.
Well, the easy part's over, Chief.
Do what?
The easy part's over.
The easy part's over. Now the training begins. And I want each officer, if you got your wife here, I want them standing beside you when you take this oath. And if the kids want to come up and stand beside Daddy, they're more than welcome to. But this is how important this is. Yes, sir.
You're good. All right, let's put this coffee high education on display, class of 1981. Excuse me. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to read the oath, and I'm going to say, I state your name, and I'm going to go, you have to give your opportunity. Okay? If you would, please, gentlemen, please raise your right hand, heels together. There you go. City of Douglas Police Department oath of office. I state your name. Thank you. Swear or affirm that I will well and truly discharge the duties of police officer of the city of Douglas, and that I will faithfully perform and discharge the duties of my position conscientiously and without malice or partiality to the best of my ability. I further swear or affirm that I am not the holder of any public monies due this or any other state or political subdivision unaccounted for and of the foreign states, and I am otherwise qualified to hold said office to which I am appointed, and for as long as I am employed with the City of Douglas Police Department, according to the Constitution and laws of Georgia, and I will support the Constitution of the United States of America and this state. I do further swear or affirm to obey, adhere to uphold, and to enforce the laws of the United States of America, the state of Georgia at all times, and do further swear or affirm that I will bear faith and allegiance to the governor of the state of Georgia, the legal authority appointed over me by the city of Douglas, and the officers appointed over me according to the law. So help me God. Say it. Outstanding, gentlemen.
Y'all standing by them while they've been gone.
I got to say. Yep. Can't get that.
And the mayor.
Yeah. You ready? Can I get him?
Oh, you can get him.
Oh, man. Woo! Check this out.
We had a kickball game yesterday.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And we got wore out because somebody missed a few air balls. The mayor's on the sideline screaming at him.
We
But
got
we made
a
it.
kicking cuties. That's sad.
Kicking cuties.
That's sad. A bunch of girls get beat up. Hey, but check this out. As long as this officer here is not trying to arrest a kickball, we're gonna be fine. That rascal couldn't catch. Just kick it to him. Yeah, they serving the bases on it. But gentlemen, let me say this right here, we're gonna take some photos. No heroes, it's a team. The most important thing that you're gonna do all day is to get back home to her. You understand? That's the most important thing you're gonna do. Get back home to this right here. So guess what? Sometimes we have to, whoa, let's call for backup. Hey, let's call for the sergeant. Let's call for the corporal. Let's put a different set of eyes on it. But let's remember this right here. We are here to protect and to serve. That's what we're here for. And our new chief of police, he's doing these coffee with a cop, pizza with whatever, all in the community, and we still get beat up in kickball. But you know something? This is community policing. We need to be out there. The first time that we get introduced to a citizen, we should not be reading their rights. The chief said that, hey, the citizens in your area should know you. And if they know you, they will trust you. They will trust you. So on behalf of the city of Douglas, all 11,656 of us, we are indebted to you and your family, and we thank you for deciding to be one of those guys in blue. Thank you. So let's take some pictures.
You understand where you are, we're just gonna rotate this way this time.
We need to squeeze in more. We need to squeeze in more, George.
You're good?
Okay. Where am I at? Oh.
Right here.
It's your son.
Yeah,
Good. Miss George will send me copies of
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good deal. He should have remedial kickball practice. Ashton You just saw him catch. Oh, okay, he didn't catch. That's the problem. You got beat up by some girls. But let me say this here right here about the kicking cuties down. They are state champions. So they know what they're doing. Next on the agenda is the second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance amending the Unified Land Development Code. Our city attorney, Mr. Jerome.
Well, before I do that, Mr. Mayor, something that I need to share with you that really had an effect on me today. I had an elderly gentleman in my office. He was doing
You talking to yourself?
But anyway, he had me preparing in his will, and he wanted me to put in there that he wanted 2 Atlanta Braves, 2 Atlanta Falcons, and 2 Georgia Bulldogs to serve as his pallbearers so they could let him down for one last time.
Been that kind of week. Been that kind of week.
Alright, bid ordained by the Mayor Board of Commissioners, City of Douglas, and the recommended pursuant to pursuit of lawful authority thereof, the Unified Land Development Code of the City of Douglas, hereby amended and stand amended as follows by amending section 3 of the Unified Land Development Code, chapter 3, table 3.1 to permit lounges, bars, nightclubs, convenience stores, and mini-storage, self-storage facilities in the gateway zoning district. Often read for the first time at the regular meeting of the Mayor Board of Commissioners, the City of Douglas, Georgia, on September 23rd, 2019, and read for the second time past ordained at the regular meeting of the Mayor Board of Commissioners, City of Douglas, as properly advertised, caption as required under the Charter of the City of Douglas, Georgia, on October 14th, 2019. And that is the second reading. However, before you take action on this, we must convene a public hearing. If there's anyone here tonight who wishes to make a public comment on this proposed amendment to the Unified Land Development Code, please step forward, state your name and whatever comment you may have. Okay, if there is no one, Mr. Mayor, this is ready for action.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adams. At this time, I entertain a motion. It's been motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda items. As always, we will turn that over to our city manager, Mr. Charles Davis.
Mayor and council, we have 4 items coming over on the consent agenda. We have item 2, approval of the Taylor Day annual event. Item 3, approval of the purchase of the FY20 lighting supplies for Davis Complex. Item 5, approval of authorization resolution to accept G.B.R's contract for the airport airfield pavement evaluation. And item 7, approval of the Verizon cell tower agreement.
At this time, I entertain a motion for the items placed on the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the work session items brought forward for discussion. And I do believe, Mr. City Manager, we have a couple of them.
We have 3 items coming over. The first is approval of the September 23rd, 2019 minutes. Item 1.
The motion that we table those until we can get the, with the deputy clerk.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
I'm in favor.
Table.
Yeah, cause it gotta get correct.
Table. So that's 3-3, that's to me. I vote to approve the minutes as they stand.
You're gonna have to go back and make another.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's my bad, my bad. You are absolutely correct.
I'll handle that now. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as they stand.
It's been motion and second. Any further discussion? All in
I'd
favor?
like to have, I'd have discussion.
Go ahead.
The minutes were incomplete, and I do not understand why you all would want to approve them being incomplete. So I am against approving the minutes being incomplete.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Opposed?
That's 3-3, that's to me. I vote that they go in as read. Thank you.
Next item is item 4, discuss the approval of the purchase of one new 2020 Freightliner street sweeper, standing merit.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Ready to seek approval to, purchase, one new 2020 Freightliner, street sweeper off of a NJPA contract number 122017 TYM. Bid. This is a very big, organization with over 50,000 members. And, so we're here to ask that y'all approve the bid. Ask the American Commission to approve the purchase of this one 2020 Freightliner street sweeper as discussed in tonight's work session meeting and approve the price of the NJPA Sourcewell contract number 122017 from Demco Incorporated, Waco, Texas, for a grand total cost of $259,935.
Move to approve.
Second motion.
It's been motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Opposed.
Motion carries.
What's the vote?
4-2.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And next item is item 6, first reading of the GMA small cell ordinance and ECG model electric pole attachment ordinance.
All right, these are fairly lengthy, so I'll do an abbreviated version. This is the first reading. You won't take action on these until the next meeting. Be it ordained by the Mayor Board of Commissioners, those hereby ordained by the Florida Sanctions Department from half pass this ordinance, the Georgia Streamlining Wireless Facilities and Maintenance Ordinance, the City of Douglas, is hereby enacted, offered read for the first time in the regular meeting of the Mayor Board of Commissioners on October 14, 2019, and you'll have the second reading of this on October 28, 2019. That's that. Then we have the pole attachment ordinance. You're ordained by the Mayor Board of Commissioners, City of Douglas, Georgia, hereby ordained by authority of the same from and after passage of this ordinance, the Georgia electric pole attachment ordinance is hereby enacted, offered read for the first time at a regular meeting of the Mayor Board of Commissioners on October 14, 2019, and we'll have a second reading of this ordinance on October 28.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adams. Next on the agenda is staff comments. Ms. Henderson has indicated there are no staff comments. The next item on the agenda is the Mayor and Commissioner's comments. Again, we've been here for a while. I really don't see a need for us to linger the meeting. At this time, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's been motion and second. Any further discussion?
I have something, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
I'd just like to say to the citizens of Douglas that I'm not in support of that $259,000 item that was just voted upon. As you see, we had numerous citizens who were here tonight complaining about their utility bills that they cannot pay. So yet, this mayor commission, 4 of them voted to pay for a sweeper when we already have one. And, those $259,000 could be transferred to another line item to try to find relief to the citizens. But yet we have people sitting up here who do not care about our citizens here in Douglas, Georgia. So I like to say to all of you, early voting started today. If you have not voted, please get out and vote for the people who are concerned about your best interest. Because I assure you, some of them sitting up here, they're not. Thank you.
All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries, we stand adjourned. Hey, there's free sweeper.
Wake up.
Let me ask Charlie something.
See what y'all got? Y'all
Don't do that, 'cause I know you sent me a letter too.
I heard you. I was snoring.
No, you didn't.
I took the picture. I took the picture.
Yeah, they walk in.
Yeah, you see what